Hey, folks, as a somewhat serious entry into me answering DMs that I've gotten, a good friend of mine on here asked me the other day about my thoughts about, well, he sent me a clip from a movie called When Nietzsche Wept. Now, I've watched this movie years ago. I haven't seen it since then, but he was asking me about the scene and asking me about the idea that of sort of like what it must be like to be a philosopher, to be a thinker, and have that moment of recognition of kind of who you are, of being seen. Because oftentimes when you are somebody, especially in today's world, when you're somebody that fancies themselves a thinker or even a philosopher or something to that effect, it comes with a weight. Now, this isn't by any stretch of the imagination a new concept, or this wasn't put forward by Nietzsche. This is something that through essentially all of recorded history has been documented. I mean, it's a biblical thing, honestly. Like that's how far back it goes. I mean, the Greeks and the Romans spoke of this idea of learning more, like understanding more, and that brings more pain. There's a reason why we have, notions like ignorance is bliss and things like that. The idea that not knowing is somehow where you find contentment, which is honestly probably right on the nose. The problem is that nothing actually changes, nothing grows, nothing gets better through contentment or through happiness. Humans as a species do not progress when we are left to happiness and contentment. We just don't move anymore. We stay in those zones. We fight for those zones. We claw for those zones. And therefore, when we reach those periods where we believe that everything's okay, we stop actually becoming better. This is the nature of humanity, and it is the knowledge of that nature that honestly brings sorrow to the hearts of many people that try to understand it. I think about this and I talk about this, and it's taken me a few days to kind of record this video because I wanted to, and it may be a couple of videos that it takes me to really respond to this correctly as the thoughts come. But I was reminded, as I said, it was a biblical idea. I was reminded of I'm trying to remember how it's said in Ecclesiastes in the Bible. It's in much wisdom is much grief, and in much wisdom is in much grief, and he that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow. That's how it goes. There's maybe some words I'm missing, but that's the idea, right? And there was Aeschylus said, "Inly stirred, I grieve to learn." These ideas that there's something inside of you that makes you want to reach out, despite the fact that you know that there is a burden that you will have to carry, but you have to know, right? Like it literally we have the story of Pandora's box, which most people will say, well, that's she was just looking because she was curious. No, she wanted knowledge. She wanted to understand. She wanted wisdom. She wanted knowledge. That's what that is about. It's not just curiosity. It's not, I wonder what's in the box. It's literally inside this box is the knowledge of evil, of horrible things. It's under trying to understand these things. And people say, well, opening the box is what doomed humanity because people are idiots. They don't understand that it's allegory. They don't understand that there's a story to it. It's a metaphor. But the reality is that when you think about that, every one of us at some point in time has to make the choice of whether or not we want to open up Pandora's box, whether we want to take it back to the biblical thing, bite the apple. And when we do that, we are burdened with knowledge. And with that knowledge comes understanding of not just our own personal shortcomings, but in the weakness and the frailty of the people around us. The what we call humankind or mankind is actually, I mean, I hate to say it, but we are wanting. We are found wanting. When you start to really look at it, you start to realize the cyclical nature of things. You start to realize how ignorant people are, and willfully so. That comes with a weight. that comes with an understanding that, while you may wake up every morning, climb on your roof like a rooster, and crow out the ills of the world in an attempt to wake people up to them, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to be woken up. They don't want to hear it. They are happy and content in their ignorance. And in that comes a dreadful sorrow, a dreadful sorrow. And it is often that philosophers and great thinkers throughout history carried that weight in solitude. They carried that weight alone because nobody else wanted it. Nobody else wants that. Nobody wants to see, because seeing, understanding, that takes something out of you. It takes your ability to look at things in a positive way all the time. It takes away your ability to see things in like this magical, fantasy world that a good portion of humanity, especially today, wants to see it as. Right? Like it's not easy for me as somebody who gets on here to try to um, convey these ideas that I know attack people's, desire to believe in fucking astrology or tarot or, all of these things, all these magical, wonderful things that give you all the answers. They're not real. And that sucks for me to say that because I would love for them to be, but they're not. We know they're not. They're definably not. They've never done anything for anybody ever in any point in time in history. They literally are just fool's toys that they play with to try to find meaning in a world that, for the most part, is meaningless. We have to find that. We have to create that. And people use these things, these ideas, these things that are outside of them to try to find these things so that they can find some level of, like I said before, contentment and happiness. They're trying to bring order to chaos. And I've talked about this. I just made a video about it. I haven't put out yet. But this idea that we have that so many people, and this is honestly one of the things that is in the nature of the philosopher, is trying to understand chaos. I don't approach it that way, and some philosophers in history don't approach it that way. But that is the conceit that many of them took, was trying to add order, trying to find it, trying to define something. And I think that therein is really honestly the source of much suffering. When you try to take something as chaotic as the universe, as chaotic as nature, as chaotic as creation, and define it by our limited knowledge and our limited understanding, you are on a fool's errand. And that creates much more suffering than you would normally have. Being a human, being somebody who tries to understand the human condition, understand the reason for human suffering, the reason why we are the way we are, is difficult. And it creates, oftentimes, like I said before, this feeling of loneliness because, it's not like I have the ability to get in front of this camera and maybe 4 people will watch this whole video. I know one person will, and that's the person that asked the question. But for the most part, most people won't sit through this because they don't care. They don't want to know. Or maybe it's the messenger. Either way, these are ideas and concepts that are far beyond the pay grade of the average person. They just don't care. And it's difficult when you feel like you have something that would really help people and they won't listen. It's really hard when after a while you become jaded and you just become so used to the weight of what you're carrying, the knowledge that you have that no one wants to hear, that you just say, well, I'll just carry it then. That nobody wants to hear it. And so in these moments, like in that moment in that movie that you sent, which if you want to know what I'm talking about, again, it's called When Nietzsche Wept. You can go look it up and find it. It's a great movie. Stars Armand Asante. But in the moment that I was sent, that recognition of I'm not alone in this, that recognition of having someone by your side as you work through it, having someone that will listen to you, having someone that will hear you, having someone that makes it so that that despite all of the weight you're carrying, they can pick up a little bit of it with you. Like Samwise Gamgee said, I can't carry it, but I can carry you. So thank you very much. Take care of yourself. Take care of others. More to come on this. I'll talk to you soon.